Let's start today with Val from San Diego. Hey, Val, what's going on?
Hi,
How are you?
good. How can I? Hi, is this David?
Yes, this is David.
Oh wow, David. So basically, I have a kind of easy question because I'm actually getting ready for work.
Oh, okay. I don't
But
want to keep you.
basically, no, it's okay. But also if I talk too much, I tend to confuse myself. So
Okay,
I want to keep it short.
please.
So basically, my question kind of came up to me when I was talking to someone close to me. And basically, they were talking about how they touched base with someone from Amazon, right? Can you
Okay.
hear me well?
I can. Yeah, yeah. You can go right into the question even.
So basically, that person was telling me how they talked to an Amazon patient, right? Amazon customer service person because they wanted to have like a $10 shipping refund.
Okay.
And they explained to me the whole process of like how they chatted with the person and how basically they were able to give him the refund because he complained about the customer service. And
Yes.
what I was very, very surprised and shocked with was how at such a low type of, well, people consider it low level job, some people do, but I consider customer service really important. But basically, some people basically what I thought was interesting was the fact that you can actually track a whole conversation down to one customer service representative, right? So they are now accountable for what they said, right? And I was thinking, literally, I think I told him, I was like, dude, wouldn't it be amazing if like I could have that at my work so that I know that I didn't say anything mean to a patient so they could track it, you know? And if everyone had that sense of accountability, like the people who went into the Capitol, like it would be so much easier. I don't understand how someone from Amazon has to have way more accountability than the people who actually broke into somebody's place of work is essentially what happened.
Well, a lot of them are getting caught because they ended up on camera and they ended up recorded. But you're making a good point, which is that the default, and part of this, unfortunately, is because of surveillance capitalism, as described by
Yeah.
Shoshana Zuboff, who we talked about. I don't know that we should be cheering about the level of data collection that you described
No.
with Amazon, although certainly they're going to have transcripts of customer service. But how are we getting
Yes.
away without more of it at the Capitol? And fortunately, enough people were recording things that people are getting caught, arrested, and charged.
Yes, exactly. But to me, what's shocking is not shocking, but it's like interesting for us to know, you know, how in America or the United States of America,
Yeah.
how it's possible that someone who has like most of the time an Amazon employee doesn't have this huge education, you know? How is it possible that someone with low education probably is working just to make ends meet, you know? Someone like that, how can they be have way more responsibility and get in more trouble than some people, you know, like that? I feel like we need
Yes,
to
I
really
think
think
you're
about these types
absolutely
of
right,
things.
Val. There are definitely some inconsistencies there in terms of accountability. Val, I appreciate the call. I hope to hear from you again. Why don't we go next to Eric from Texas? Eric, you're on the air.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, so I want to know, pardon me, as a new generation enters politics, what would they bring to the political sphere?
I don't know. I mean, that's up to them, right? That's a hard question
Yeah,
to answer. I mean, I think the can you say more? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't
like
know which generation you're
generation,
referring to.
yeah, like Generation Z and millennials.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, listen, I think that we, for a very, very long time in the House, Senate, in law, at the state level, we had a lot of folks making law related to technology who didn't totally understand a lot of those same technologies. There's these child porn examples from when there were people who didn't even really understand it making the law, and then it led to bizarre loopholes. And, that's just a kind of one little example. I do think that as our lawmakers more and more are the people that grew up with the technologies that kind of govern much more of our society, that we are going to see that taken much more seriously. Lindsey Graham, I remember at one point was on the technology committee or something, telecommunication. I don't remember what it was. And he had never sent an email in his life. Like that's crazy. That doesn't make sense. It's a joke. We become a joke, So I think that's certainly something that will be different. I also think it's going to be increasingly a generation that it's not a generation of socialists, but it's a generation that grew up more open to different sort of economic infrastructures and ideas. And I think that will also bring a very different approach.
I totally agree.
Yeah. All right, my friend, thank you so much for the call. Great question. We're taking calls via Discord at davidpakman.com/Discord. Regardless of your workout, nutrition, and diet goals, it is crucial to have the right amount of protein in your diet. And if you're supplementing with protein powders, you should be sure you have the powder that is right for you. And that's where our sponsor Gainful comes in. Gainful offers customized protein based on your body type, diet, fitness habits, and goals. Their formulas are optimized for you with simple and effective ingredients, no fillers, gluten, soy, or anything artificial. And Gainful also gives you free, unlimited one-on-one access to your own registered dietitian, which is a great bonus you won't find anywhere else. And my favorite part is that Gainful protein is never repetitive or boring because they will rotate the flavors you choose, like rich chocolate, cookies and cream, chocolate peanut butter, strawberry cream, cafe mocha. I took their quiz and they gave me protein tailored to my specific needs. Everything was quick and easy. I've been loving what they sent me. You'll get $15 off your first month when you go to gainful.com/Pakman. The link is underneath this video.